everyone, welcome to my wild classroom. I'm actually getting bitten like you wouldn't believe right now, so I'm gonna make this part fast. But I wanted to take you on a tour of one of the pollinator gardens that we have here. We have 4 established pollinator gardens, 4 established pollinator gardens right now. And then we have others that are in process and ultimately will be devoted specifically to pollinators and wildlife. And I'll go through those in another video. But right now I'm going to focus on this one. This is the first pollinator garden that I really started working on when I moved here, or when we moved here. And it's basically, when we moved here, there were and are a number of non-native cultivars that are still really beneficial to pollinators and to wildlife and are beautiful, and so obviously we kept those. And I pulled some other stuff out and added some native perennials that I thought were well suited to the area. And I added a fountain and just kind of worked on the area a lot to see what worked and what didn't. So that's been over like the past 3 years that we've done that. And now I'm really pleased because things are really starting to fill in a nice and natural sort of looking way. So I am excited, and I thought I would share that with you today. So let's get on the tour before I get bitten anymore. I'll start at the head of the garden today. This is an enormous cedar, Arborvitae, one or the other. And it's enormous. It's actually 2 trees in there. It's split off. And squirrels live in there, chipmunks live in there, birds live in there. It provides an enormous amount of habitat, and we love it. It does need to be pruned. We have not as yet pruned it, but yeah, it really needs to be tended to. But we love it. And the hydrangea, which is enormous at this point, this also needs to be pruned, and I will be pruning this back this fall. But the blooms this year are really gorgeous, and the bees are loving them. So, hooray for hydrangea. We've got greater camas here, which blooms in the spring or early summer. So that's done at this point, but it is nice. And in behind here we have sneezeweed, Helenium autumno. That is a native perennial. The bees and wasps and all the pollinators really love it. It's super pretty, and I had never really known anything about sneezeweed until it showed up here. I didn't actually plant this. This was already here. But it's beautiful, so hooray. And we have cardinal flower. And the cardinal flower is another native perennial, a favorite of hummingbirds. We've got some here that I actually thought had died last year, but it came back. Yay. And there's another, this one I actually bought this spring, and it was huge and wonky and at the very back of the plants, but I saw it and was excited, and so I bought it and brought it home, and now it is with us. This is the fountain. We had a smaller, basically like almost just a planter dish kind of thing. And at that point, when it was that small, I just had a solar pump that I used, and that was great. But I wanted to have something bigger, and so I got this planter from this pool extender from Lowe's. Yes. And I think it was like 20 bucks. And for that one, it's big enough. I believe I don't know how many gallons it is, but it's needed a bigger pump than I had, or that the solar would do. So it is plugged in. I keep it plugged in for usually 3 or 4 hours a day, and that is enough to aerate the water and keep the mosquitoes and things from hatching in there. But I think it adds a lot. The birds love it. And I have a little stone pathway in there so the critters can climb in and out, which is nice. So that's that. And then we've got Monarda fistulosa, which is wild bergamot. And get up close, you can see there's bees in here. They love the bergamot. And I love them, so it all works out great. We also have European columbine in here. We have lungwort, which I pulled up a lot of it because it was taking over in here. But it is a great, it's a really nice ground cover, even though it's non-native and it can spread. It does a great job of, again, covering the ground, but also provides early blooms. It's one of the first to bloom along with the violets in early spring. So it's a good one. And we have goldenrod here. We have, some of this stuff is starting to die back. Some of it's just blooming. We have the anise hyssop, which is another bee favorite. And this here is blazing star. This is much more vibrant earlier in the season. Right now all of the blooms are sort of, I mean, obviously part of them are dying and then others have the color has faded. But that's another that the beasties love. And we've got violets, which are another great, this is a native ground cover that's really awesome. And that spreads nicely, and I will continue to let that spread throughout the space. I have creeping bellflower, which is very pretty, but is also very invasive. And so I've been trying to get that pulled up, but there's still a lot of it in here. This is blue lobelia, which is native of the cardinal flower. And that'll bloom probably in the next couple of weeks, or actually the next week or so, I would say. We'll start seeing blooms there. And right here, this is a Korean spice bush. The Korean spice bush is obviously non-native. It is an early, late spring, early summer bloomer. It has these really beautiful, delicate white blossoms, and they're highly aromatic, so it fills the whole yard with this beautiful smell, and you really know that summer has started when you can smell that. It's almost like a lilac, but it's more delicate and a little more subtle. So it's really beautiful, and I quite love it. But obviously right now it's blooms are gone, and but it provides habitat. It's a good thing. And we've got garden phlox, which is everywhere here. We have more goldenrod. We have milkweed. Good God, my brain just went completely blank. We have milkweed here. The milkweed got eaten by Japanese beetles this year, so it didn't do great. I'm hoping that we have another big swath of it in another part of the yard, and I'm hoping that's enough for the monarch butterflies, but I have not seen a lot of monarchs this year. I saw 2 caterpillars on this sad little spread of milkweed, but that's it. So I don't know. I'm not sure how the monarchs fared this year. I've heard from a lot of people that they didn't see a lot of monarchs this year, so I don't know. In behind here we have bee balm, which is past its prime for the summer, but still pretty. And we have evening primrose, which also the blooms are gone. So the evening primrose has this really vibrant yellow flower that's just beautiful. And that one is gone for the year though. And that's one of the early bloomers as well. And then this enormous beastie is a New England aster. I got this from Rebel Hill Farm. They grow native plants from seed and sell them at the co-op in Damascotta. And I love their stuff and have gotten a lot of my plants through them, and this New England aster is just phenomenal. So that will bloom. That's one of the last things to bloom. It usually blooms in late August to mid-September. And it's a nice thing to look forward to when everything else has gone by. Then we've got the fountain. We have lilies in here. Lots of lilies everywhere. And we have... in here we have some foxglove beard tongue that's gone by, so Penstemon digitalis. Also have Jacob's ladder, which I am trying to coax into being a ground cover over in this area, because otherwise creeping bellflower just takes over. And so I'm hoping, I'm gonna gather some seeds soon from the ones that I did grow in here, and hopefully spread those in the spring, and we'll see how everything goes. But for now, everything's died back. It again is one of the early bloomers, but is very pretty and just kind of a subtle, sweet, low growing ground cover. And we have more phlox here. And we're back to the cedar. And that is the cedar garden. So thanks a lot for coming through and checking this out with me. I'm hoping to do these more often. And we just have so many beautiful things growing, and I've been working on this kind of non-stop. This has been my obsession for the past few years, when probably should have been doing other things, but for whatever reason we landed at this house with these gardens and I can't stop spending my time in them. So I'm glad that you're here to share that with me. All right, I'll talk to you later. Thanks. Bye.